Okay, I am bored and I have nothing good to do. I am stuck in my apartment today, just like yesterday, and I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't eat anything. So, you know what? Let's just talk about Los Angeles, California. I have been waiting to make this video for a very long time because Los Angeles is one of the biggest cities in the world. So I have been to the USA twice in my life, one time in 2009 when I was 6 years old, and one time in 2016 also in the summer, and I was 13 years old. And for the first time I went to USA, I only stayed in Seattle, Washington. I also went up to Alaska. And I also spent one day No, I didn't. I didn't spend one day in Canada. Technically, I did, but it's not really part of the overall itinerary. It's part of the Alaska cruise itinerary. And then for the second time I went to the USA, it is, I am older, duh. And I have a better understanding of Western culture. And I also went to Los Angeles, California, and Houston, Texas. So the trip that I had to USA in the year 2016 is easily the second best trip that I have ever gone to in my life. Number one being the Europe trip in 2018, where I went to 9 new countries. But this one is fantastic as well. So, where do I start? So, for the 2016 trip, from day 1 to 16, and from day 29 to 32, I was in Seattle, Washington, with the exception of day 15, where I went to Vancouver, Canada. And then from day 17 to 23, I went to Los Angeles, California. And from 24 to day 29, I went to Houston, Texas. So it's quite a packed trip, and it's also quite a satisfying trip. When I was around 8, I started to learn a lot about movies and music and TV shows of the USA. And back then I thought every single celebrity in the USA live in Los Angeles, and I thought every single movie that's filmed in the USA is filmed in Hollywood. So at that time, when I was around 8 years old or 9 years old, Hollywood is my number one most anticipated place to go to. Like, I really wanted to go there. I really wanted to go there. And then fast forward to 2016, turns out Hollywood and Los Angeles aren't really that invincible and great of a place, but still I kept my hopes up. I had high hopes when I went to Los Angeles because I just really wanted to go there. Yeah, and also, before I went to Los Angeles, my cousin went there first. And they also went to San Francisco. So I was like, I have to go there now. So let's go to day 17 of our USA trip on July 26th, 2016. Also, I made a 5-hour-long video documenting what happened on every single day of my USA trip in 2016. However, I can't upload it onto YouTube because of copyright issues, and also because it has a lot of my family in it. So I want to protect their privacy, maybe. And I can't recut the video anymore like I did with the Europe video because it's already finished. I can't do anything about it. The project, the file, they're all trashed. Anyway, day 17, in the morning, early in the morning, I woke up in my grandma's apartment, and we packed our stuffs and we drove to the airport, to the Tacoma, Washington airport, and then we went to LAX. Fantabulous. Not only did my family go, including me, mom, dad, my brother, also my grandma and my second aunt. We arrived at LAX, and it was a really hustly, bustly airport. And then the first thing we did was rent a car. We did rent a car. Everything feels so updated and again, hustly, bustly. That's how I would describe Los Angeles. It's not a cold place. It's a really hot place, and it's a really busy place too. Yeah, and it's a really new place. Everything felt new, and there isn't anything traditional or whatever because we're in the USA. So yeah, we rent a car, and the first thing we did was go to Resident Inn by Marriott Los Angeles at Olympic Boulevard. And yeah, that's a pretty small hotel, I think. And it was a nice hotel though. It was pretty nice. They gave us this room number. They didn't type out the room number. They wrote down our room number, and the guy wrote 1804. At least that's how it looked. And then when we looked closer, we realized that the 4 could also be a 6, and the 6 could also be a 4. So there isn't an 1804, so our room was 1806. And then after that, we took a rest, and we went to the restaurant across the hotel, and it's called Yard House. And it was fantastic. A great meal to start off in Los Angeles. My first meal in California. And as you can expect, it's Western food, American food, burgers, fries, and you know, maybe you're sick of it, but I love burgers. There's this weird dish where we could dip a burger into some kind of soup, which is weird. I don't know. I don't know if this is like the correct way to eat it, but that's what people told me to. That's how people told me to eat it. I also had pizza, also had tacos. So yeah, it was a really rich meal, really satisfying meal. After that, we drove our rented car to Little Tokyo, which is basically Japantown in Los Angeles, and it's a really nice, cute little place in the middle of the city that doesn't feel like the city at all. Little Tokyo was really nice. Yeah. How am I gonna describe this place for you? It's like you're in the middle of a theme park of some sorts, but it's serious. It's not all fun and games. They really sell Japanese stuffs over there, and they sell Japanese food over there as well. And yeah, it feels like a theme park. It really does. And then in the vicinity of Little Tokyo, we went to a small little restaurant cafe place called Four Leaf, and we had crepes, crepe over there with ice cream, and it's pretty fantastic. And then at the end, we went to downtown Whole Foods Market. It's not the first time I've been to a Whole Foods before, but yeah, it's really awesome. And at the end, we dined at our hotel room, and that's day 17. So my first impressions of Los Angeles is that it's a really busy city, hustly bustly, almost like Hong Kong, but Los Angeles feels even more new and even more consistent and uniform. If you had looked at the map of Los Angeles, you'd know that Los Angeles is basically one huge, complicated grid. Like, it's all horizontal lines and vertical lines, and it's one big, very complex grid, and And you know, because there are so many horizontal and vertical lines, there are so many squares, and each square is like a lot of land where a person can rent. And it's kinda it's a really uniform place, to be honest. It's a really uniform place, meaning that wherever you go, whatever you see also has the same vibe. And the vibe of Los Angeles is that it's very energetic, it's really new, and it is a city. When you go to Los Angeles, you would be 100% sure that yes, this is a city. This is what a city is supposed to look like. Huge, wide roads, a lot of traffic lights here and there, and then just lines and lines of just shops and restaurants and stores and malls. Occasionally there are some trees like in the park or whatever, and you know, there are some mountains, of course, but everything just feels so present. Just Los Angeles feels like everything you've seen in your life crammed into one and evenly spread in this huge land. That's what Los Angeles feels like to me. Anyway, day 18, we went to Hollywood Boulevard, where there are stars on the ground and also handprints on the ground outside of the Chinese theater, I believe. And again, I was super duper pumped to know that I would be going to Hollywood, because it is one of my dream places to go to. I was really happy about that. And you know, there are a lot of famous popular movie references over there, because it's Hollywood movies, you know. And I am a huge movie guy, so I was really happy. Yeah, it was pretty amazing. A lot of people are there. And then we went into a mall, sort of a mall. It's not really a mall. Can I call it a mall? More like a compound building. And it's the closest that I have ever gotten to the Hollywood sign on the mountain. And then on that complex building, we went to a Japanese restaurant, kind of Japanese. It's called a Cho-Oishi restaurant, and it's like a mix of Japanese and other weird stuffs. And then after that, we went back down to the Hollywood Boulevard, and we went to the La La Land Souvenir shop. But we didn't buy anything. No, wait, we did. So yeah, we bought this. I'm gonna open it. So it's basically this little plastic shot glasses. Oh, it's so dirty. From 2016. It's been here for 3 years now. But it's basically these nice plastic shot cups that has black and white, like a film reel. That's pretty cool. I bought a bunch of these because I wanted. Oh yeah, there we go. Hollywood. It says right here, Hollywood. Can't focus. Yeah. I bought a bunch of these because I wanted to give it to my classmates as souvenir. Up next, we went to Beverly Hills 90210. At that time, I didn't know that much about Beverly Hills. So, let's continue to talk about Los Angeles, California. Yes, it was the year 2016. It was July 27th, I think, when I arrived at Hollywood Boulevard. And it was pretty fantastic. It was sharp. It was colorful. There were a lot of street performers, people in costumes on the boulevard, you know, to take photos with you and charge you money. We didn't take any photos on that street, but it was still a really, you know, cool, fun, very crowded and heated, and a very good mood, very good vibe. The word vibe is very Californian. Anyway, yes, we went to La La Land Souvenir. We went to Beverly Hills. We had extra time, and we went to Beverly Hills. And That is like very different from Hollywood and the city center, downtown. Beverly Hills is way more quiet. Beverly Hills is actually way more quiet, but also way more beautiful. And I was just super, I guess, not super, but I was kind of fascinated by how many beautiful mansions there are on Beverly Hills. There are just all sorts of different mansions, different shapes and sizes and colors, and some of those are just especially extravagant. Extra would be the word. Extravagant, extra, short of extravagant. Yeah, it was pretty gorgeous. It was pretty pretty. And then after that, we actually went to UCLA. Yes, we actually did that because when I grow up, I want to study in the USA and I want to study film because I love movies, I love TV shows, and there is no better place to study film than in Los Angeles. So I wanted to study university in Los Angeles. I know it's a little ambitious, it's a little crazy, but I'm gonna try my best anyway. So we visited UCLA, one of the most famous and most top-notch universities worldwide, and the campus is huge. It does feel like a campus very much. It feels a little old school maybe sometimes because there were all sorts of these building complex that has a reddish brown old school vibe to it, like it's some sort of serious house. But in general, it's a pretty huge campus. It was also really good looking, and I went into a couple of the buildings, and it looked pretty nice. I think it looked pretty nice. And then after that, we had lunch, and our second aunt took us to this Korean barbecue restaurant called Kang Ho Dong Restaurant. And it is on the 3465 West 6th Street. Apparently, in LA there aren't street names. Rather, there are numbers. But in most cities in the USA that happens. Not every single street has names. By the way, I wasn't the person who planned where to go, what to eat, because I was 13 back then, and I didn't know that much about the world, about USA, even though I did know a decent bit. And my second aunt had been living in the USA for many years already, so she knows Los Angeles way better than any of us, and I didn't know where I was going the next day. It was all my second aunt's idea, her itinerary. So yeah, I'm gonna search for that restaurant. Hopefully it's not closed. I don't think it's closed, right? It's called the Kang Ho Dong. Kang Ho Dong. West 6th Street. I got it. It's in downtown, and it's actually pretty nice. It's sort of like in the middle of this back alley. Not really. It's sort of like in Los Angeles, it's all grids. It's all vertical lines and horizontal lines. So it's in one of the plots, and it's further inside, and it's being surrounded by other restaurants, and it's this quiet little part in the middle of the plot of land. So yeah, it's still a thing. It's still going on. It's not closed yet. Yay. And it is more west to Los Angeles downtown, but yet it is nearer to East Hollywood. I don't get it. But yeah, anyway, it is a pretty nice restaurant. We had Korean barbecue, and there's this plate of just meat and food, and then around it there is a ring of egg yolk. And then after finishing the whole meal, we can eat the scrambled eggs around the ring. So it's pretty smart, pretty creative, and I never had something like that in my life. And then after that, we went to Target downtown. We drove back to downtown. We went to Target at a mall called Fig at 7th. I don't know if it's still there, but Figueroa 7th, and it's at downtown, very near our hotel. So we shopped over there. We bought stuffs, and we ate dinner at our hotel room because dinner outside is very expensive and we don't want to waste any money. And that is day 2. So very fruitful. Day 3 is even more fruitful. Day 3 is the best day of 2016, period. We went to Universal Studios Hollywood, and man, this is the place that I've been waiting to go to for a very, very, very long time. And by that, I mean years. When I was around 7 or 8, I kind of had this impression that everything important in the movie industry and in the music industry happens in Hollywood, and mainly Universal Studios. Like, all the cool, crazy things happen in Universal Studios, and every celebrity is there. And when I grow up, I learn a little more about, the reality, and I realize that it's not that cool, but still, I know that Universal Studios is the best amusement park. It's the best theme park of the entire world. Nothing can top that. So, still, I had been super duper excited to go to this place, and finally I went there, and I was not disappointed. It is pretty fantastic. It is a huge place, and it is easily the best theme park I've ever gone to. I've been to the Singapore Universal Studios, and it's the most underwhelming one because it's so small and it's so hot. And I've been to Universal Studios, not Hollywood, Osaka, and it was better, but it's still not as great and as large and as detailed and as colorful and fun and wild as the one in Hollywood, the OG Universal Studios. So we got this fast pass, which is basically this card, and we can show this to the people, the ride managers people, and we could cut the line, which is a little douchey, but it's worth it because we went through the entire Universal Studios within around 12 hours, within half a day, and that is impeccable time management. We kept looking at the board. There's this electronic board where it shows how many minutes until the next ride of this part happens, this tourist attraction happens. So we kept looking at that board and planned out where to go next, when to go, and impeccable time management. We went through the whole place with the exception of a couple of dumb rides. We went through the whole place. Yeah, no joke. First, we went to the studio tour, and it's widely considered as the best part of Universal Studios, because we were basically on this tour train. I guess that's the best way of describing it. And there's a host, there's a person who shows us around the studio, the stuff surrounding the studios. The host would tell us about the cool little sets, the cool studios, the props, the whatever. and I didn't know how much of it is real and how much of it is staged. Like, one of the studios were actually responsible for shooting The Good Place, and I think that part is real because there's literally like an RV, and you know, it's like a legit studio. But also there are some parts where dinosaur like these dinosaurs would pop up and spit water, and like those parts are definitely fake. But yeah, a little pro tip here: if you sit on the left side, you'll get wet. You'll have a higher chance of getting wet than sitting on the right side. But still, pretty crazy. There's a part in the studio tour where we just stop in the middle of this like mountain slope, and then there's water just running down, like there's flood. And it was raining, it was heavy raining, and water is exploding everywhere, and it was hysterical, it was crazy, and it was fun. This is what I signed up for when I go to Universal Studios. I want thrilling rides that actually show us how it feels to be in a movie. And then the best part about the studio tour is when we go into one of the studios, and it feels like we're underground, and then suddenly the studio is shaking, the lights are falling off. This thing to my right just broke, and it was on fire, and this part was like, it also broke and water was coming down, like it was super chaotic, and it was a lot of fun. I got that on tape. And then after that part, we went to the thematic part. In different years, there are different thematic parts to the studio tour. So our last part of the studio tour is the Fast and Furious ride, and I'm gonna be honest, it's not a great ride. It was thrilling, admittedly, but the premise was pretty dumb. But at the end, I had fun. It was, you know, it was a good time. So I didn't really complain at all. Up next, we went to the Mummies ride. It's the first time I've been on a Mummies ride, and it's supposed to be the scariest ride in Universal Studios. It's not that scary, but it is a lot of fun. When it comes to thrill and fun, this is very thrilling and very fun. It goes forwards and backwards and forwards. And there are two types of rides. Rides where you can see where you're going, and rides that you can't. This is the kind of ride, it's like Space Mountain. You basically can't see anything, but occasionally this weird figure shows up, and sometimes spiders just tickle you. So yeah, Mummies ride, pretty thrilling, pretty fun. I had fun. And then we went to the Transformers ride, and there were some technical problems, so we left. And they gave us free packs of jelly beans and free water for compensation. So we went to the Jurassic Park's ride first, the classic ride. And again, really fun, really thrilling. Not as thrilling as Mummy's ride, but probably the most crazy. The ending of the ride is crazy. So it's a really watery ride. Everybody gets wet after the ride. At some point, we went up, and then we went straight in this weird tunnel. And there was this huge dinosaur, and it's opening its jaws, and we were about to go into the jaws, and then we suddenly fall down. And when we fell down, it's just this huge water splash, and I was wet. Yeah, everybody was really wet after the ride. It was a lot of fun. And then after that, we finally went to the Transformers ride, and again, it's better than I've expected, because we didn't just sit on the seat and just watch things happen. We actually go from room to room. Sometimes it's a cinema screen, sometimes it's a silver screen, and it's, 4D, very shaky, and sometimes we actually go through some rooms, and it's real creative. I love it. And then we went to Simpsons ride, which is not as good. We literally sat on a seat, and it's 4D, it's shaking, but still, it's it's pretty fun, I guess, but it wasn't one of the best ones. And then after that, we had to have lunch, so we went to Moe's and had burgers, drank soda, had chips, potato chips, fries, you know, American food, which is good. I like American food. Yeah, there we go. I admitted it. After that, we went to the special effects show, which is not as cringy, except for the part where they had to, you know, do these Foley sound effects. But yeah, overall, you know, it's a, you know, show. It's a stage show where they talk about special effects, and it's okay. Then we went to the Walking Dead walkthrough, and this is new, and there were real actors pretending to be walkers, and I watched the show The Walking Dead, so I know what was going on. We went to the prison. That's a major part of seasons 3 and 4, the first half, and it was amazing. It was fantastic. I actually had a lot of fun, and the Walking Dead walkthrough, it was pretty realistic too, and again, real creative. Then we went to Shrek 4D, which is easily the worst part about Universal Studios, because it's this huge cinema. We just sit here and watch a clip. But yeah, after that, we went to Harry Potter, and it's arguably the best part, because the Harry Potter ride, and as a Potterhead, there were a lot of these references and Easter eggs in the ride, and it was fun. And similar to Transformers, we move on from room to room, to part, and sometimes we're just facing a screen, and sometimes we're literally going around. Sometimes it's really dark, sometimes it's really bright, and in Transformers we're stationary almost, but in the Harry Potter ride we were going up and down, and I am honestly impressed. I enjoyed it a lot. And then after that, I also went onto the you know, the other ride, that roller coaster ride, the Beast that Hagrid has. That one was okay. It was fast. It was really fast. Like, I don't know how many seconds was that ride was. And also sometimes a choir would perform, which is not that great, but it's funny. After that, we went to Waterworld, and it's pretty spectacular, actually. And again, you get wet a lot, especially if you're sitting at the front row. But yeah, it's pretty spectacular. A lot of stunts, a lot of things falling off. At the end, a plane just crashed through the walls. And yeah, I don't know how did they reset the whole thing, but they do that. And then we went to the Animal Actors. And again, it's like a stage show, except it's outdoors and there were some animals. It's okay. I guess it's for kids, so I wasn't too huge on it. But still, a bunch of birds flying up and down. It's pretty gnarly, I guess. And the last part, we went to the Minion Mayhem ride, and it's okay. It's just okay. It's okay. Not the most grandiose ending, but it's just okay. We also went to Little Paris, which is like this old part of Paris, and it's pretty fun. And overall, I am really impressed with Universal Studios Hollywood. I think this is easily, hands down, the best theme park ever, and I am always really impressed at how colorful and detailed the whole park is, like the way it's constructed, all the different things, and the entrance alone, the pathway to the entrance alone, it's already colorful and crazy enough. And by the time we left, it's sunset, and it's kind of pretty. Yeah. So we move on to day 20. It's July 29th, and what? Okay, I'm gonna check my schedule. So, we went to this plot of land. How do I explain this? So yeah, LA, it's full of plots of lands, like rectangles of lands, and somebody had an idea that this land, it should be used in a way that it's rented by a bunch of restaurants, and they all sort of have this shared space. And in these shared spaces, you can just sit down, buy the food you want, and you can just sit there and eat. It's sort of like a food court. And also, there's this really famous restaurant called Egg Slut, and it's also in that lot of land. So if you know what this lot of land is called, you can tell me in the comments. But yeah, I'm loving the very simplistic style. I had ice cream, I had food, you know, and it was pretty fun. And then after that, we walked around the streets. We went to this $1 store. Yeah, nothing too fancy if you ask me, but the streets and the roads of Los Angeles, they are, as always, really sharp, really on point, and they're always full of energy, and they're always trying to attract you, and they're always really busy, like big roads, big crossroads, because it's all grids. And then after that, we went to USC, aka University of Southern California, and it's kind of similar to UCLA, except it looks a little more modern, it looks a little more renewed. I went to the film department, the film room, and it looks pretty nice, pretty high tech as well. And then as we were leaving, we passed by the Shrine Auditorium, where 4 days later, I think, Radiohead would be performing there. So I was like, bro, this is the closest I've ever been to watching a Radiohead concert, a live show. And then after that, we went to the California Science Center. It's not great, but again, it's sharp, it's fun, and it's creative. And it's more interactive, and it's definitely 100 times better than the Science Museum in Hong Kong. The Science Museum in Hong Kong is straight up dumb and retarded. This one, it's more fun. And then we also went to the IMAX theater across the Science Center, which is pretty boring, I think. But again, I didn't complain about it. We watched this documentary about space voiced by Jennifer Lawrence, and it was okay. Didn't really have any high expectations. After that, we went to this part of the city where the streets are dirtier, and it's sort of more how do I say it? It feels poorer, like it feels like it's the ghetto part of LA. We got all sorts of stores and restaurants, but they're all pretty cheap and pretty local, and pretty noisy and dirty and stinky, like most parts, not like most parts, like some parts of Hong Kong. So yeah, and then around the corner, we went to this Brazilian restaurant called Woodspoon, and it's a really special restaurant. The plates look really nice, and the food itself is really fantastic. I think the salad is really special. They mixed in some beetroot. I remember that really clearly, and I never really had beetroot salad before. Alright, up next, day 21. Day 21 is July 30th, and for lunch we went to Sugarfish, which is a Japanese restaurant. We had sushi over there. The sushi in the USA is a little bit different than the sushi in Hong Kong, and which are also different than the sushi I've had in Osaka, Japan, but just a little bit. And yeah, sushi in the morning. It's a sort of like a brunch. Yeah, and then after that we went to the Louie Bottega, and it is the desserts heaven. Okay, a Louie Bottega, It's a huge restaurant, cafe place where there is a gigantic selection of desserts, and it's just it's stunning. It's stunning. It's salivating. And I had a lemon pie, I guess, but I also had other stuffs like macarons and, you know. After that, we went to the downtown Whole Foods supermarket, and I didn't really know why are we going there, why did we go there, but yeah, all these supermarkets in the USA are just large. They're all really large and big, yeah. And then after that, somewhere nearby is the we walked around on the streets. What district is this? Fashion district, yes. And we went by this store called FIDM Scholarship Store, and it sells clothes. But yeah, we walked around the streets. You know the drill. Up next, we went back to the hotel, I think, and we drove our car out to the Santa Monica beach. And the beach is gigantic. It's huge. Yeah, it's huge, and we had to go down the steps in order to reach the beach, and we had to walk for a few minutes to reach the shore, and then we stayed at the shore for like a couple minutes, and then we left again. Yes, and for day 22, we had to check out from our hotel, from Resident Inn by Marriott Los Angeles on Olympic Boulevard, and we need to move to a new hotel. And on our way, my second aunt decided to drive to a graffiti area, and it's near South Hewlett Street, and it's a less populous area, but it has some really crazy, trippy graffiti, and again, really energetic. Love the energetic vibe that LA gives off. And then we went to the new hotel, Residence Inn by Marriott, LAX, near the airport. And then after that, we didn't really have anywhere important to go, so we went to Manhattan Beach, which is similar to Santa Monica Beach. Again, huge, but it feels more like a commercial beach, more commercial. At the far end of the beach, like beyond the beach, there's an aquarium, and it's called the Roundhouse Aquarium. It's a really, really small aquarium. It's not that big, but yeah, very, very marine, very aquatic, and making an aquarium beside the beach on top of the sea is it's like literally extracting fish and squids from the sea and onto the air, onto midair. It's, yeah, pretty weird, I guess. But yeah, it's also kind of cool and creative. And then after that, we went back to the shore, and we walked around, tried to look for a restaurant to have dinner in, and we went to the Kettle, which is a really nice restaurant. Again, American food, burgers. There's a slice of pineapple in my burger that's pretty special, and I also had pasta, and yeah, we had pasta and all sorts of other things. We had dessert. We had creme brulee. Yes, one of my favorite desserts ever, and it was fantastic. I think it was fantastic. I've had Western food before, to be honest. I've had American food before, of course, in Hong Kong, of course, but of course, eating American food in America is the thing. And at that night, while we were leaving, the restaurant, some guy was trying to cross the road, and apparently there is no such thing as traffic lights in LA. More like there are, but not really around Manhattan Beach. So there's this car driving driving by, and there's this guy walking across the road, and the car almost hit the guy. And the guy was really pissed off, and he was like, "What the fuck?" And then the car just drove away, and the guy was like, "Yeah, fuck you, speak the fuck up." And my mom was like, "Wow, so rude, so mean, cursing in public, so mean." In Hong Kong, it's not really good to curse. Like, cursing is like bad. Cursing is bad, but I don't think it's as bad as some of the other Hong Kongers think. But yeah, my mom was like, "Wow, so rude." And then there's this other guy who's about to cross the road as well, and he's like, "Yeah, that's very bad." That was a weird incident, I have to admit. After that, we sort of walked around the area a little bit. It was nighttime, and and after that, we sort of walked around, and it was nighttime, and yeah, LA at night looks pretty energetic as well, but in a different way than in the morning or in the afternoon. More like it's flashy and more showy. And yeah, I think that's it. I don't remember much, to be honest, but I still remember quite a lot from the trip that I had in 2016 to the USA. Anyway, at that night we went back to our hotel, Marriott Inn by LAX, and our hotel room was actually way bigger and way nicer. It was literally a suite, and we only stayed for one night. So yeah, but it was a huge and nice hotel room. We had pizza on that day too. I just remembered. And yeah, in the lobby there was a robot that cleans the ground, that cleans the floor, and it was really urban. LA is a really urban city. And then after that, we slept overnight in that place. In the morning, we went to LAX. We returned the car, and my second aunt went back to Seattle. Our grandma followed us to Houston, Texas, and we boarded the plane to Houston, Texas with a different time zone. And then we just straight up left LA. So that's it. So yeah, that's Los Angeles for you. Before we boarded the plane, we need to have lunch. So my mom looked for a fast food restaurant because we need to board the plane fast. So because we didn't have much time. So we went to Carl's Jr. and I had like this bacon burger. You know, now I kind of realize that I've had a lot of burgers in the USA, like a lot. Yeah. Wow. So overall, I think Los Angeles is a really colorful and energetic city. It's also really sharp, and it always gets your attention. And it's also very new and urban. It's always very high-tech. Like, everybody who lives in LA try their best to make LA look as good as possible, but not in a way LA looks plastic, not in a way LA looks sort of over the top or fake, but in a way it looks, and not in a way it looks really welcoming and comforting and peaceful as well. It's really whack, really crazy. And it's a very new city because if you look at the map, again, all horizontal lines and vertical lines, and it's a huge grid, a lot of rectangles. Occasionally a park, and that's it, And to be honest, as a person who lives in Hong Kong, I enjoyed the stay at LA. Yeah. I know it's sort of an unpopular opinion now, but I like Los Angeles. In fact, I love Los Angeles. In fact, it's probably the best city that I have ever been to. And it's kind of difficult to describe Los Angeles, but I think it's like a huge slice of pizza. Except every slice has a different taste, different style, but yet all of it feels pretty similar, and all of it feels very salty and sweet and spicy at the same time. A lot of cheese, a lot of toppings, a lot of tomatoes and olives, and every single topping ever, all on the pizza. That is Los Angeles. Yeah, if there are any things that isn't great about Los Angeles, is that it's pretty hot, but that's to be expected. And B, you won't really see any cultural diversity in Los Angeles, but again, that's to be expected as well, because it's a relatively new city, and everyone there is also pretty much the same. So yeah, the architecture of LA, the format of LA, very consistent, and overall a really energetic, a really sharp and colorful and exciting place. So yeah, what are your thoughts on LA? Comments below. Thanks for watching, and I will talk about Texas Houston.